welcome to the Winner's Circle. My name is Maria Rose, and I have an amazing show for you today because it is history. Today, I am featuring the very first guest on the Winner's Circle podcast. Just be prepared to learn, to be impacted in a positive way by our guest, Joseph Cunningham. He's my brother, my older brother. Joseph is an inspiration to our family. He's an amazing husband, an incredible father. He is at the top of his organization. He is in impeccable shape. His Instagram makes me want to put the chips down. He's in great shape. When I was thinking about who should be my first guest, Joseph is the first person that came to mind because he is a success. Joseph is a winner. So thank you for tuning in. Please hit subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell so that you do not miss an episode. Joseph, I just want to tell you, thank you so much for coming on the show and being the first guest.
No problem. Thank you. And I'm definitely honored and definitely flattered. Like I said, you know me, I'm not big for the spotlight, but at the same time, that's definitely great to get your flowers while you're alive. So I really appreciate you for that. So,
well, I thought it'd be cool to take it all the way back because, we come from humble beginnings. I'd love to know, what's one of your favorite childhood memories?
yeah, so I actually would say probably my Pennsylvania days. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like my Pennsylvania days kind of shaped my character. Like you said, we grew up, as you say, pretty rough, like, Southeast, Northwest DC. So definitely rough areas growing up. Definitely we were blessed to have, two solid parents at home, mother at home, father in our lives, even though we were in really rough areas. So that was always a plus. But a lot of the values that I grew up with, actually, it's funny, like I was talking about to one of my coworkers, because he's like from Pennsylvania. And I mentioned we were talking about Mennonites, and I was like, yeah, I grew up Mennonite. And he looked at me crazy, like, what? You Mennonite? So
Right.
like I know there's probably going to be a new word to a lot of people watching this, but a lot of my values came up in that Mennonite Peabody Street Church, and then going to Pennsylvania. And like I said, we had that kind of rough side, where we could see and kind of see the reals of life, but then also see this amazing, place, which was like to me like just like a wonderland of like just everybody super caring, super nice, loving. It was just, crazy. Like I said, look, so we had it at home, but just to see that and kind of aspire to that, I still feel like my values come kind of from my time there. I spent probably from, I would say, maybe like 7, 8 to probably like 14, like each summer, we would go down there and, definitely, I would say that that's probably my most cherished childhood memories are in Pennsylvania and kind of the Dutch country.
I was just talking to mom about that the other day. She came over with that.
Yeah,
And I was just
right.
we were like breaking it down and I was helping, like I was like explaining how impactful it was, just
Yeah, it was.
go to Pennsylvania,
Yep.
Lancaster,
Yep.
live in Mennonite country. I mean,
Yeah.
you're waking up shucking corn.
Right, right,
Like,
right.
and for the
It was
first
so
time,
cool.
right, I thought like, you know, this is heaven. This
I
is
know it was really like 'cause when we were coming from DC, like rough DC to that, it's really like you said, going like heaven. That was something too that was, I learned, I feel like, at an early age, like I wasn't as big into material things as much. I mean, obviously that's out there in our culture, but that was something I took really close to home, like the fact that they put more into like, you know, their homes and their surroundings instead of they all wore like one pair of shoes and like saying it was very modest like material wise, but you could see that they were very comfortable. They were very like together, so that was definitely something, just like a precursor into the financial kind of like just having a good sense on that.
so speaking of family, now
Yeah,
that just
yeah.
perfect segue. I,
Okay.
would love to know your perspective on how you met your wife, Brittany, because
Right, right. I mean, I got to give kind of the credit to my sister-in-law, or Keisha. I mean, we would have never met if it wasn't for her. I will say Keisha, she was when I was about 19 to about really like 23, 23-ish. Like I said, Keisha was kind of like my matchmaker. So, because I was her, she Mark, our brother Mark and his wife Keisha at the time. I was their third wheel pretty much, so I was kind of like going everywhere with them. But she saw me as like the most eligible bachelor, that she knew. So she's like constantly trying to hook me up, and I was definitely not a ladies' man at all. Like, and I was very much kind of coming out of my shell because I was very much kind of a homebody, not really like out there and clubs or anything like that. I definitely kind of regressed when we moved out to Fredericksburg. I was more in that scene when I was in high school in Woodbridge, but definitely regressed when I came out to Fredericksburg. So, I got my first home. I purchased my first home around 21, 22, and it was like we started having movie night, and like so that was kind of the new thing where Keisha, would try to like set me up, on little kind of
Right.
blind dates. We went on a couple of movie trips, to the movies, and I was really going off a feeling, like it was like a certain vibe, that I wanted kind of, and Brittany kind of hit that all the
Yeah.
the vibes or buttons that I was, or all those, checked all those boxes, I guess you would say. So, but that first night, I was really feeling her, but she is, the funny thing is she really didn't get the sense that I was because, I was kind of trying to play it cool,
Yeah.
but, I could see immediately, okay, this is a perfect fit for me. This is, I think a good match here. So, from there, like I said, a little bit of it's a blur, but like I said, I definitely, you know, at the end of the night, I asked for a number. She even said she was kind of surprised because, like I said, it was at that time, me and Mark were kind of like really close to, so we were talking, and her and Keisha were talking, and we watched the movie. I'm trying to remember. I think we watched Knocked Up actually. It's the movie we watched. No, it was good, and like after that, we kind of started kind of, I called her. I think I want to say the next day, and then kind of just pretty much started that process of like letting her know that I was interested, in her. And yeah, I mean, from there, we just, like I said, the relationship blossomed just from, I think, you know, some of the values, like I was doing some things I think that she maybe hadn't experienced before. Like I'm very much, a caring and very much giving person. So, and I'm not talking about like, gifts and things like that, but my time, like it was an example of like, she kept her niece, she's was a grown woman now, but she was like a baby at the time, and she babysitted her. It was kind of like the main babysitter, and she would say sometimes, I gotta watch tonight. I don't think I've come over. I'm like, where should I? Like let's, we can just have, have it be cool. Like I'd love to meet her, and so like that started all things. So Shania met me like immediately, and she kind of fell in love with me too. Like it was a whole thing where we kind of had a little cool little vibe with that. But then yeah, just I was definitely we were in that kind of really you know I guess what they call it, like that newly loved kind of stage early on where we spent a lot of time together. So that's something too that if you really are into someone, I think that's what's kind of lost these days that I've seen is that because and this was right before social media blew up, but we were definitely in contact a lot without the distraction of social media. It was like we were with each other, talking to each other, not worrying about like looking at our phones. Like that's a challenge, probably more now, but but
Yes. Oh,
definitely in those early stages, I did not exist. We really had those times where we would just be talking for hours, watching a movie, watching, shows, whatever it was, we were doing, but it was definitely not a lot of distraction, which I definitely looking back, like that was huge. So I can only imagine. I know I think what's hurting some of these relationships now, that you don't have that as much to kind of build on. Like I said, it affects us now, as we're older and we're in this age now, but we had that foundation that was set where we really, I think, really saw our true selves and really got to know each other, which was huge. But yeah, love of my life, she's great. Like I said, she's the yin to my yang. She's definitely, everything. Like I said, we fit our personalities fit perfectly in the sense that I'm definitely more easygoing. She's a little more fiery, but at the same time, loving all the way. And then, she has that balance, because sometimes those two, if you have two fiery people, that's a problem. But you have to sometimes have that balance of like somebody that's kind of, and in the same times where I need to be a little more fiery, she kind of helps me kind of get there. So yeah,
yeah.
it's just great. It's great.
So I'd love to know, you know,
Yeah.
say a man or a woman is trying
Yeah.
to determine if someone is the one, you say is a good way to determine that. How did you know?
Mm,
What's something that
yeah.
this is
I,
who
I,
is going to be?
yeah. I don't know. Like, see, that's where I definitely, like I said, it was a feeling for sure. Sometimes people, I think, get hung up because they're looking for a certain type. You know what I mean? Where sometimes it's
Checklist.
really like a spirit thing. Like her spirit, her personality, that spoke to me more. And then, she's a beautiful woman too. But like sometimes people won't even like, even give those people a chance because they have a certain type. They're so like on a type, and you have to hit all these boxes where that's where I wasn't picky. Like, to me, if your vibe was right, if your personality was right, I think it was just her demeanor, maybe. Like she was kind of, soft spoken, at first. And, I take it back, she was wearing Birkenstocks the first night I met her. And I don't want to like put up, but like it was just like at that time too, it was like, it wasn't like a flashy shoe. It was like, it was just it kind of spoke to me. She was a chill, like just good vibe person. And this is gonna be a 14th year in May. So
14
yeah,
years in May.
yeah, yeah,
Oh my goodness. And you have three
yeah,
children,
yeah,
so I just wanted to kind of segue into
yeah.
you being a father and also
Hmm.
being in great shape because
Oh yeah,
you're a father of three, I'm a mother of
yeah,
two. So
right,
I found that one of my biggest barriers in my fitness journey was like, okay, how do I, spend adequate time with my children and
right.
stay in shape? And so I'd love to,
Yeah, yeah,
so I guess my question is like twofold. So I'd love to know about your fitness journey, how
yeah,
you went from where you started to where you are and how
right.
you stay fit as a husband, as a father.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, good question. Yeah, like that's something that, yeah, as far as the journey, that definitely started because there was a period, like said, I would say just to kind of go back, from I would say 10 to maybe 16, very active in sports like basketball, and like basketball's life. So never really did like fitness, but that was like something I was just into, just as a kid and growing up. And again, a different age where no social media, no, not really even, there was a time we didn't even have a TV for multiple years. So like always outside. Like I'm one of those kids that grew up where I'm like always outside until like time to come in. So very active as a child. So I would say I was in fairly good shape, as a child, not like cut or anything, but just like a good kind of solid kid. But then when I came out to Fredericksburg, I kind of hit a little regress where I wasn't as happy that we moved out to Fredericksburg at the time, leaving all our friends behind. So I went into a little bit of a slump, and for a period probably between maybe 16 to probably like about 19, I gained a lot of weight. So I was just kind of sitting idle. I wasn't going out, but pretty much because that was like that lifestyle in Woodbridge where I was out all the time. Pretty much stopped where I just turned into like a movie, like game hawk, where I was just in my room just playing games, eating nothing but like bad food.
One time you
Yeah.
ordered pizza
Oh yeah, right.
for just yourself.
Oh yeah, there was definitely. It's funny. Like I definitely think back on those times. Like, I remember used to hitting the whole pizza pie. It was like medium pizza was no problem. But yeah, yeah,
As
that
one
was
serving.
definitely it. Yeah, well, yeah, that was like dinner. Medium pizza, two toppings. But yeah. So that was definitely a period where I got really out of shape. At my biggest, I was about probably 250. Um, I was, 6'3", so I mean, not like, roly poly, but I was definitely pretty husky, and I was a husky, build. So I started kind of just getting conscious of it, like I was like, just all right, I don't know, something just clicked where I was just like, I'm gonna start, just getting back in because that's the one thing, like, I'm a very active person, I actually have a problem sitting still, like I kind of ADHD like that, where I'm very much on the go. So that was really like a switch for me to kind of just get into that lifestyle of just being lazy and laying around all day. But yeah, so I started with I'll never forget, like I started with elliptical, actually. I'm working Keisha's apartment, their apartment complex, and it was like a free gym at the time. So I was like kind of, I was still like, just working. I think it was worth still working at Burger King at the time. So yeah, so I just went there, and pretty much in the evenings, and I did 30 minutes. I started with 30 minutes on elliptical, and that was one of my favorite. I still recommend that. That's one of the best entry workouts for anybody who just needs to lose weight. And then, they may be in not the best shape, and you don't want to like, kill yourself with all these hits workouts and things like that. If you do a solid elliptical workout, I did that for about maybe 4 to 6 months, and I lost a good 30 pounds, just grind 30 minutes a night on that elliptical. And then obviously I started eating a little bit better too, which helped. But again, I still, at the time I was working at Burger King. I did eventually get out of there, but that was tough too, working fast food, and you get all this free fast food, to deal with that. But then from there, I kind of went really crazy on the cardio. So I pretty much started from the elliptical, and I started running, and I got in big into running. And running is really what was the big thing that I got into, that I fell in love with and got that runner's high. It was really like, it's nothing like a runner's high. It's really like a drug almost, where you gotta want that feeling. So I got all that cardio over. I can't tell you the exact years. I would say roughly probably like a 2.5 year period. I went from 250 to 180. So that's like 70 pounds gone. And in a short period of, well, and I said 2 years. It was probably closer to like 1.5. So there was definitely, that was a period where it was a tough period, because this classic, you haven't seen, like, so you haven't seen your family members, like, for holidays, the ones you see in the holidays. Last time they see you, you're about 250. The next time they see you, you're like 180, maybe
Right.
next
I
Christmas.
remember
And
people
then
like
you, and
commenting,
then
yeah.
everybody's like, are you sick or something wrong? What's going on? And that was tough too, because I was like, I felt like in great shape. I felt like I was like, well-oiled machine, but I was definitely like no muscle mass, straight, just, just lean, like, and tall at the same time. So I started kind of getting more conscious, and then I started my weight kind of journey, as far as like weight training. I got into that at Anytime Fitness, was my first gym. Started there, kind of grinded out there for about a year or two. Started, same thing, because that's another thing too. The reason why I'm pretty good at staying with it, I'm a very regimented person, very kind of routine. So I'm I stick to my routines. But yeah, from there I put back on about 20, 30 pounds, probably of muscle and so now I've been, in the next probably maybe 2 plus years. So I was around 210 to 220, and I've pretty much maintained that weight for the last 15 plus years. I'm generally always between 210 and 220, depending on, where I'm, just where I'm at. Sometimes I, hit a little bit harder. Sometimes, I do a little less. But overall, just, that's the journey. I will say, right now in my journey, I'm kind of in that mode where I'm kind of happy more in the maintaining. I'm not really going as hard. I've been at home. I've had a home gym for about 4 years now, and that's kind of been my go to. Where I like to maintain, get my burn in, for 30, 40 minutes. Honestly, lately I'm probably more to 3 to 4 days a week. There was a period where I was literally to be like 5 to 6 days for, probably upwards of 10 years. But now I'm like more 3, 4 days. I get it where I can. My work schedule has been tough to, I'm usually, when I'm working, I'm doing it pretty late. But a lot of it's just, like I said, making it a priority. Like, I'm definitely routine, but I have obviously a lot of things. My day, my days just go like a blur. Like, I wake up 5 in the morning, and I'm, on the road working, getting home generally 6, 7 o'clock at night. A lot of times probably having to get dinner going. Brittany's been great lately too, helping with that as well, because she works late too. But
I'm so inspired. And I think that's one of the things that popped out to me when I was thinking about what I would ask you, because
yeah, yeah,
you, when you talk about your fitness journey,
yeah,
I was there, when you started.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You
And I
remember, yeah, the
remember,
early time. Yeah,
yeah, I see
yeah.
you doing the crazy amount of sit-ups. I mean, guys, he would do
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that period. Yeah, I
like
was
400, 500. He'd be like
yeah.
399, 400. I was just like, what the heck? And I'm like a teenager. I mean, I remember we were in the kitchen when you showed mom your 8-pack. And, that was the first 8-pack I ever saw in person. It wasn't that. I saw it like on the movies. And I just thought to myself, this is amazing. It is
Mm,
amazing, because transformations, it's, many times they happen on TV, they don't
Right.
happen like in your home.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and so you said that you generally now like 3, 4 days a week, and is it usually
Yeah, definitely.
work?
Like I said, I'm definitely 3, 4 days a week, and it's honestly no rhyme or reason to it anymore. And don't get me wrong, like I'm definitely routine. I'm definitely, there's never been a period I think I've not worked out longer than maybe a few weeks, but there's been some spots where it's been a challenge. I'll be honest. I'm one of the types though now. Like if I don't get my workout in, generally I like my mood's not the greatest. Like it's a mood changer for me. Like because it's like I feel a little bit more accomplished if I get my workout in. But at the same time, I've definitely graduated to the sense where it doesn't stress me out as much because it used to really like stress me out if I didn't get my workout in, and I didn't like that space either. So I kind of had to find that balance. I'm definitely not an 8 pack anymore. More like 4 to 6 and like maintaining. I'm big on strength now. Like I'm one of my main workouts, or my favorite workouts is pull ups. So like that's something I pride on. Like pull ups are one of the harder workouts, but if you really stick to it, get a good form, you can do pull ups will get you right. Like and obviously it's it gives you that like the big shoulders and all that, and then back, but it's a solid workout and it's a good one for strength. It kind of works the whole body. So that's kind of been my go-to lately, generally because and the nice thing I have a pull-up bar in my garage. So even sometimes when I'm cooking, my workout sometimes is I'll do like 6 or 7 sets, of 10 pull-ups in between cooking. Like, I'll get something going, go out there. Because if you think
Hashtag
about it,
goals.
yeah, because I mean I really a set takes like 15 seconds. So like I'll just go out there, do a set, come in, check on something, go back out, maybe 2 minutes later doing but I'll feel accomplished, like I've, strengthened it. That's kind of been a good vibe. I definitely still get it in my basement gym as well. Occasionally, I just did one this morning, but no, it's great. Like I said, I've even gotten the kids kind of incorporated into the times. Bailey's my gym rat with me sometimes. Josie's actually been really into it too. But no, I'm everybody knows like I'm big, on not only fitness but uh diet is big too. That's where I can say for the most part I've been the most consistent over 15 years is my diet's been very solid. Like, again, because I'm so routine, I'm that guy that can eat the same thing for lunch, breakfast for the same 15 years and not blink an eye, and like it's like, like there's periods where I've just had literally the same, lunch, breakfast for 5, 10 years and it's, just routine and there's no problem. And then, so it's, just balancing that, and a good workout plan, and just making it a lifestyle. I know everybody preaches that in these workout things because I think a lot lately you see a lot of these like quick weight loss programs, which are I understand why people do them and it's quick satisfaction, but I always preach like just stay consistent. Pick something you can do at least 3 to 4 days a week, even if it's 20 minutes a day. Stick and then with your diet, start to just gradually scale back things on a scale like, just for instance, like, say if you drink a glass of wine every night, take 4 nights out, or, if this is some type of fatty kind of like treat that you like, or some type of just unhealthy treat you like and that's the thing, like, same way I've been eating healthy for this long, a lot of people have a routine of just eating unhealthy and it's just not, it doesn't really, you don't even think about it. It's like, hey, I like my Oreos and I'm eating my Oreos every night.
Right.
Just take 3 or 4 of those Oreo nights out, and you'll literally see a change from doing that. Like it's little things like that, are big, to shift, get yourself in a good place. So
That's so true because it's so funny that you mentioned the pull-up bar because that's where my
yeah,
pull-up call happened. 2 years ago, I was at the gym and I saw a pull-up bar and I couldn't
uh,
pull myself up to do
right, right.
it. And it scared me because I said to myself, if I was being chased by something and I had to pull myself up
Right,
to
right,
save my life,
right.
that would be my last day on earth. Like
That's hilarious. That's
was like,
funny.
it is actually unsafe for me to not be able to pull my own body weight up.
Right. Turn into survival.
So, but like you
That's
said,
funny.
I set the bar so low that I was
Right.
there's no way I can't keep up with this. So I was like, I'm going to
Yeah.
go on a 20-minute walk every day.
Yeah, that's perfect. Like something like that. Just set and make it a routine. You know.
And it just
Yep.
like built from
Yep.
there.
Yep, and then you build, and then you just naturally. That's where I hate to like, because sometimes you can give out the whole plan. This is what I eat. This is what, but I generally like you just start with something like that. If you're doing if you're and I at least I can only speak for myself. When I got into those better habits, other habits started happening just because you like the way you feel, you like the way you want to get to that workout, and you obviously can't eat double Whopper and do a workout versus eating like something healthier. That's where you get into those good healthy habits where after a long term and a lifestyle, like now I actually crave healthy things. It's very few things I crave that are unhealthy. Most of the time when I want a snack, when I want something, I'm thinking of something like, high in like, protein or omega 3s or something like that, where it's like, I don't even crave a Big Mac or a Whopper. Where there was a time where I had to have that General Toast chicken every weekend. And it was like a problem if I didn't. Like I was like kind of wanting that. Yeah, I was like, no, not anymore.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that's okay. I have to know then.
Yeah.
What is one of your guilty pleasure, either like
Oh
food,
yeah, yeah, true, true.
like what, something
Yeah,
that
yeah,
just
yeah.
so
Good question.
unhealthy. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh.
Right, right. Because honestly, this is a big thing too. Like, and I was actually just watching a good interview with Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors, and they were talking about their cheat meals, and that's a real thing. Like, if you get to that level of like really good shape, you almost kind of have to give yourself that cheat meal a little bit just to kind of balance it. But I would say probably my go-to, probably like sweet is sweet potato pie. Like I can definitely like, I always think back. I've never done it, but I always think back to iRobot when Will Smith was eating that sweet potato pie with a spoon.
Watch
Like
that movie.
I could probably do that, like if I wanted to, because I like it that much. But I do try to kind of, two slices or so. As far as like a savory, let's see, savory. I don't struggle as much because I do give myself usually from the stuff I cook. Like I'll make like a nice grilled salmon, a nice grilled steak, and that's actually healthy. If you're on a good path. But I would say probably mac and cheese probably would be the only reason I can't speak to that as much is because I honestly don't eat it as much because it really hurts my stomach because I'm like kind of like low key lactose intolerant. So like it really hurts my stomach after I eat it. So I love the taste of it, but I don't indulge in it just because of that reason. So yeah,
Have you?
especially your mac and cheese is pretty pretty hard to resist sometimes.
But I wonder, have you tried the Patty LaBelle sweet potato pie?
I have. I mean, I was okay. Do you know who has the best sweet potato pie, low key? Publix. Their sweet potato pie is like rivaling like some aunts. I hate to say it. I mean, I don't want to like I'll be honest. Brittany's Aunt Shirley. She's the queen. I mean, I give it to her. I love her sweet potato pie, but the public sweet potato pie is very close, like, and it's hearty. It's like perfect. And I've given it to a couple of people. Next time you come through, I'm gonna let you try it too, because most people I turn on to it because I actually that is something I get generally every week I go to the grocery store. I usually get it and have it in the house. No, I get it every now and then. Sometimes it's gone before I can get to it, but
Right.
I've let a few folks try it and everybody's like blown away. Like it's really good going.
I
Yeah,
have an interesting question for you.
sure.
So, if you can imagine that someone is asking you for one piece of advice, and
Uh,
you are going to implement it, for a fact
mm,
that they are going to follow it
mm,
100% all
yeah,
the way through,
right,
and they're just like, Joseph, give me some, what can I stick to?
right.
Relationship wise,
Hmm.
business, family,
Yeah,
what would that be where you're like, follow this and your life will consistently improve?
yeah. I mean, you hit it with the consistency. I mean, I at the same time, I mean, all those things. One thing I'm big on, and I live in, like I said, I talk about being routine. Every day, I generally give it my all. I mean, I know people say that, and it kind of gets lost. Like, but I'm serious about it. Like everything I do in life, I generally try to do a great job at it, and methodically. But like every day, like I stay positive too. Because there's things throughout your day that throw you off, and between emotions, family, work, whatever could throw you off. So I understand how that happens, and I'm not saying I'm fully immune to it, but I generally one thing I pride myself is like every day I wake up, I'm generally thinking about that day I'm gonna just kill the day. whether it's like I said, waking up right, getting up early, getting, to where I need to be, get my workday day done, getting my workout done, getting the kids, making sure I have those moments with the kids, that are building as well with Brittany, being mindful of that. Just being everything that you contribute towards, just making sure you're doing it to the fullest extent and doing it on a consistent basis. Cause that's where, I pride myself, like if you just, I'm strong believe if you put in hard work, it'll show improve. And that's, I definitely do on a daily basis. And I feel like I've done pretty much my whole adult life. And it's, financially, family, everything, personally, everything's worked out with that in mind. So I don't have a lot of waste in my day, like I mean, like that's what I'm one of the people that I'm trying to find a balance to maybe have a little bit of that waste, just so I'm balanced. But that is the real reason why I think I am kind of successful in a lot of things is because, like I said, my day I don't have a lot of waste in it. It's very much everything's to the point. Everything is kind of going to be moving towards a positive kind of situation. So that's one thing that I can give if somebody wanted to kind of model off of. But I at the same time I always like to be clear, like that's not for everybody. Like there's certain things, and like I said, I fully admit that I even feel like sometimes I need to be a little bit more lax. Like sometimes it helps to have that too. But ultimately, just being consistent. Consistent and just living your days to the fullest extent. Use Dad's word. Always try to be extraordinary. That's something that if everybody did that in their lives, you'll automatically see a shift just from having that type of mindset. I'm always trying to be the most extraordinary person in the situation that I can, and it's not like off of any like bragging, but just that's what I want to do, just because I think it's important to live that way and not give half effort, give full effort, even a little bit more, and you'll see it. So
That is so powerful because, that
yeah,
is just like right at the core of why I started the Winner Circle podcast.
right, okay,
The tagline is, if you're trying, you're a winner. Because
right,
that's what's at the root like being extraordinary. Just putting in that
right,
extra effort, just trying. Um,
exactly.
but if we could deconstruct that,
Yeah. You may have
someone
to help me do that. Yeah,
so we take it, we dial it back
right,
working at Burger King,
right.
250 pounds,
Yeah,
what happened in because there could be someone watching that's like,
right.
I want to be consistent. I
Yeah,
want to
right.
I'm
I see what
so
you're saying.
far from where I want to be.
Yeah.
When
But see,
did it?
that's where I would say, because like even at Burger King, I lived that attitude. So at Burger King, I remember I started off, just on the line, but after a year or two, because I was a hard worker, I wasn't the type of people that like, there at that time, that age too, you got a lot of people calling out and things like I'm there every day. I think I'm reliable. I'm, working hard the whole day. Like, some people are goofing off in the back. I'm like, machine, like which but even in that sense, that started me on my path of kind of like with that, and then they immediately were trying to make me a manager, and just because you show that, and that, so I would use that as an example. Like you can start low, and then work your way just from showing and proving hard work. And I think sometimes people don't want to do that because they're like, oh, they're in this position that they don't like, so they're not going to give it their all. And those are the ones that don't generally progress. I can even say the same for Pulte. I started off as a tech, like carrying people's tools, and 20 years later, I'm pretty much the head of the division. So like it's but it literally with that same work where like I was very just every day like showing reliability, showing that I cared, showing that I was a good employee, and all that is just every day. And then it's a build, like so this is it's 20 years later, I'm the division manager, but it was work along the way, and but that I worked with 40 other techs at that time. And to give you an example of how it can happen, they got rid of the tech position eventually after like my second year in, but nobody knew this, it was coming. So they offered me and actually like a few other guys the opportunity to become like an assistant manager. And some guys like, I don't want that responsibility. I'm happy just being a tech. Where like that was the next thing I was going to say is seize an opportunity, because you got to work hard. But when those opportunities come, if you don't seize them, that's where you have the differences of like a a Steve Jobs or and those guys who do it, they're generally seizing the opportunity, and sometimes it's help. I would say like most people that are successful get help, and that's where I think people don't understand. And even me, like I've had a helping hand, from guys that even when I started with Pulte, my first weekend, I royally screwed up something like just being a rookie. Just I messed up some like carpet situation, and I was thinking I was gonna get fired, but somebody gave me a chance. So like you're new, that's understandable. But in that moment, I could have gotten fired, and this would not exist. So there's things that help you along the way, but still just using those and working towards and just being taking each day to the fullest extent. That's all I can say. But that's where I was just kind of using this example because a lot of times people think you just graduate to that immediately. It's over time. It's not something that happens overnight. One thing I've definitely been doing over the last probably 10 years is finding that time to kind of think ahead too. Because like sometimes you do get so much into your day being reactive, but if you start like putting together a plan for like, building things with work or maybe even like entrepreneurship or even family, put things in place or start, spending some time thinking about that and putting a plan of that together, then you'll really see your stuff start taking off. And I can definitely say in the last 10 years that's been really huge for me, thinking of always kind of trying to put together like a good goal or plan, but not just a goal, but then a plan to get to that goal, and then try to kind of keep yourself on it with just that normal routine that I do well with. But if you have a good plan and a good routine, you generally can be successful.
Right, right. And I'd
Yeah,
love to know about a time that you seized an opportunity and every,
yeah.
you know,
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, one was definitely that situation I mentioned with the, they were often those assistant managers, and it was definitely scary at the time because I was pretty new, and I was definitely like, it was the responsibility of that. And then I would say fast forwarding to my most recent promotion where they offered me to do the division role, and it was something I was definitely working towards, but it was definitely kind of like still something I had to kind of talk myself into, like, this is an opportunity that's come up, and it came up, in a situation that I didn't ask for the promotion. That something transpired where it opened up, and they thought of me for that position, and they came to me. But there's a lot of there was actually a lot of managers in my position in the past that I've worked with where like I don't want that, because heavy is the crown and all that stuff. Like it's a lot more responsibility. So it was something that I had to kind of think through, but honestly I didn't flinch like in their face. Like I was like, absolutely, do it. Like, so, but inside, like, I'm like, kind of like, just naturally have those thoughts, but, really happy I did. And, happy, got out the offer and, worked towards, that was definitely an opportunity that to me was, something that I seized.
but that
And
actually leads to
yeah,
something I was wondering. So what
yeah,
excites you these days? It's like, because
yeah. Okay, good.
it's like, what, puts a
Yep.
smile on your face. You're like, oh,
Right, right.
like
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So I'm like one of those kind of weird people that I get excited when I like complete my task. I know that's kind of crazy. Not, I don't want. I'm gonna give you something else, but I want to tell you that that literally excites me. Like if because I'm one of those people that list out my tasks for the day. At the end of the day, if I get my task list done, I'm like elated. Like I'm like on cloud nine, and it's almost like slightly opposite if I don't. And I feel like but generally I'm the type person I always get my priority tasks done. But if I really like knock out all my tasks, like I'm really happy. But as far as like just on a just natural guilty kind of pleasure or like I mean I'm a big music buff, so excited I get excited on Fridays is my like new music Friday. So I that's the only one on like Tidal they release all the new releases. So I usually get excited for that. As far as like those playlists or those albums that drop or new songs to kind of hear new music. Um, I get excited when really Brittany like I kind of every day when I know I'm gonna I'm usually most excited kind of right between 6 and 8 because that's around the time I get home and she gets off because she's my person, like she's the one I kind of like, she's my best friend. So like that's that period where I'm getting to kind of spend that time with my best friend. So I really look forward to that time. So that's an exciting time of day for me as far as days. And then just, anything with the kids, like any interactions I get with the kids, you know, playing, fitness or even kind of going out somewhere like a family outing. That's something that excites me when we have planned family outings. So
Family time is
right,
is what it's all about
definitely.
to me, because they say, oh, what is life about, and what's ultimate success. I believe that the ultimate measure of success is being a valuable person, a person that is treasured in
Mm,
your family and community.
mm, yeah, agree with
Someone,
that. I agree with that.
and that's not connected to any monetary thing,
Right, right.
connected to any particular thing that you have to do, but it's like,
Mm,
when your family or when the people in your community think of you, do they think of someone that they uh, just feel like is priceless? Like
right, right,
that person is amazing. Uh,
right, right.
and I, from day one, whenever, I guess that was June 2nd for me. I was born, June 2nd, 1990.
Good.
From that day forward, you've always been an incredible brother
Mhm.
and person, and someone that is like this, uh, like a beacon.
No.
And like, okay, what would Joseph do? Like, so I'm like,
WWJD.
right, because
That's
you're
funny.
older than I am, so it's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so you've been through different things that you've conquered, and so I have that kind of chart to look at, like, okay, and this
Hmm.
is how he handled that, and then he did this, and so I just am so humbled and
Hmm.
endlessly grateful that you have, just been so open, and willing to
Thanks.
come on here and share. And so
Yeah,
before
no
we go
problem.
into the lightning round, which is just
Okay.
going to be like, so some quick questions,
All right, cool, cool.
that it's
All right.
like, like your first answer is the right answer.
Okay. All right. Perfect, perfect.
um,
I like it.
Before we go into that,
Yeah.
uh, I would love to know who inspires you,
Mm, okay.
or
I
who
mean, I
has
would
inspired
say
you
who has
that
inspired me. Yeah. I mean, I definitely dad's high on my list. Dad's always been a great inspiration to me, just the way he goes about life, and he's I think where I got my work ethic from for sure. Um, Mom as well, like mom and dad, I got to start with them because like they're definitely gave me my foundation. Mom, just her whole spirit. Like I know you mentioned, just I know you're giving me roses, but I got to give her roses as far as like she's probably one of the best spirits I've ever encountered in my life. And that's I've known a lot of people, but just that's a lot to say. Dad's great too, but just mom's whole vibe and spirit. It's kind of one and only in my opinion. So she's definitely a great inspiration to me. Um, Another like more recent one too was Brittany's aunt, Ralu. She was a big inspiration to me, kind of on that, just the knowledge she had, as far as just being financially sound. She was really a big inspiration to me as far as like setting me on even a better path. I would say from probably 25 to now. She's huge and instrumental in the way I live my life. And how the conversations I've taken from her and the knowledge she's given me. Or she did give me because she has recently passed. But those are the three probably top in my life. I would give for sure.
You know, speaking of mom's spirit, I just had to add a little
Hmm.
tidbit, because one, could hear that and like, oh, what does that mean? What is a story that could represent how, mom's spirit has impacted our life? And
Right.
I
Right.
just have to share this recent experience. So mom and dad came over, hung out, and it was time for them to leave. They were dropping off Mary.
Right.
So Mary's our niece.
Yeah.
And uh and mom is leaving out of the door. She's walking down my garageway and she was like, Maria, sing a song. We're leaving. Sing a song. And she said, any song. And
Right.
and I was like, oh my Lord, Lord, and Lord. And mom and dad do the part.
That's funny.
But it was that. that bubble, that capsule of a moment where she's just like, sing a song. And suddenly
Right, right,
like I kick into this very, free spirited vibe.
right, right,
Like, okay, what song? And I knew whatever song I picked, she was gonna sing with me.
right.
Okay, so it is lightning round.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Ready for it.
Favorite color.
Black.
Best piece of advice you've received.
That's nice. I would say Veralo, just being just not being more frugal with your money, to invest more. I guess that would be best piece of
Favorite song right
advice.
now.
Favorite song right now? Does it have to be new? Sorry, I like not doing lightning anymore. Okay, favorite song of all time is Michael Jackson, Human Nature.
Yes. Top three favorite movies.
Top three favorite movies: Dark Knight, Lord of the Rings, Snatch.
Yes, yes. How do you start your day?
uh, I mean, you mean as far as just what the routine, or just wake up and breakfast, dress, on the road. I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, but it's nothing flashy, just but very consistent. Like that's every morning, generally the same time. Yeah. I do generally set up my day too. Like so I'll do that. I know I've talked about social media, but only slightly mindless scrolls I have, as far as I call it mindless scrolls, because like those are the times when I'm just like scrolling through social media, because I'm not on social media a lot, but usually early in the morning with my breakfast, or usually like right before I go to bed, I do kind of do a little like mindless scroll. But I'm trying to even get better at that. But generally, the key thing is I generally I review my task list for the day during breakfast as well. So.
Oh. What city would you like to travel to next?
Uh, Probably LA. I've never been on the West Coast, so I got to experience the West Coast. See
It's
that
a whole vibe.
vibe. Yeah.
Favorite snack?
Favorite snack. Actually, these they're called sumo oranges. I know it's kind of like, but they're sumo citrus oranges, best oranges ever. But they're a little pricey, but every now and then I treat myself and get like 5 or 6 of them, and that's like one of my favorite little treats.
Good. Favorite exercise right now?
Pull-ups.
What's your favorite time of the day?
6 to 8, like I was mentioning, when that kind of Brittany time.
And for the last question in the lightning round, how would you define yourself in 3 words?
3 words: consistent, um, passionate, and strong.
I'm just blown away. I'm surprised it's still. I just, wow, the compound. Thank you so much for
No
joining
problem.
the
No
first
problem.
guest episode of the Winner's Circle podcast, Joseph.
No problem. Thanks for having me. This is awesome. Great setup too, by the way. You're on your way. Like I said, you've always been amazing. Just content creating and writing, and just it's great to see you on your way for sure. Doing a great job.
Thank you so much. I just,
Yeah.
my ultimate goal in life, really, and this transcends anything that I write, any of the songs that I make, the screenplays. I
Oh,
really just want to add a little bit more hope in the world.
right.
And I feel like that that hope for knowing that if you give 100%,
Right.
life is going to be on your side.
Right. 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 So there has to be some hope and trust in that. 100%.
Thank
Thanks
you so
again.
much. We have to have you back on the podcast.
Okay. Definitely. Definitely.
Until next time,
Okay.
love you.
Cool. Love you.